Hello and welcome to another Revenue Roundtable. I'm Mitch Lee, Profit Evangelist at Vendavo, and we're going to spend under 10 minutes discussing what's being reported in the business news, what's top of mind for the Vendavo customer community, and what are the tips, tricks, and capabilities to turn concerns into opportunities. With me today is Israel Rodrigo. He's one of our key VCs here at Vendavo. Israel, great to see you today.
Hi, Mitch. Glad to be here too.
You bet. So first up, there's a ton of information, ton of writing about inflation right now. Fed's tapering back. What are things that we should be talking about, thinking about in pricing discipline in an inflationary economy?
Yeah, well, so obviously, not all industries have suffered, the effects of the pandemic to the same degree. We have seen that in the last few months, many companies have cut prices to address volume and market share erosion. While other industries actually have had the need of really start raising prices to account for shortages of raw materials, parts of labor, the increase of cost of shipping, etc. Right? So we have seen that overall this has put a lot of pressure, in one way or another one, and in companies to be able to execute and maximize the kind of value capture opportunities.
Sure, that makes sense. So what are things that could be happening here? What are things that might be going on that we need to watch?
Well, so the first thing would be that, as you know, climbing prices are, let's say, bad for the consumer because it reduces our purchasing power, right? And at a certain level, it's true that it's healthy because it activates the economy, promotes spending. But however, on the flip side, the cost of goods becomes more expensive if you are selling in the international markets. So finding that difficult balance between how to encourage growth and keep the economy running is always going to be like the difficult task here. If we think, the inflation effects that it has in the companies is similar to, for instance, the increase of the cost of fuel, right? So it is going to apply to all aspects of serving and producing customers for a product for your customers, However, it's not always captured in the way that companies price their products. And I think that the problem or the danger here is that you cannot afford to wait a few months to execute and finally pass it through your customers.
And so what are some leading indicators, things that we should be looking at that tell us, let's get ready to do something with our pricing strategy?
Yeah, so I think that changing monetary policy, can have all sort of effects. And similarly, the same thing applies to pricing in the B2B environment. So we don't really know what is certain, with certainty what is going to happen in the future. But definitely, I think that it looks like interest rate increase are due. So they're going to eventually go up. That actually is going to lead for, I would say a shift or a pivotal shift in the way that the influx of funds, have traditionally gone into the stock market. Which means that investors will start looking into other areas that are a bit safer, and then we're going to be able to hedge risk, probably looking into, let's say, real estate or investing on commodities, or also investing in companies that they have better pricing discipline in terms of passing through, those increases. And I'm just thinking, for instance, in the case of Tesla, they have been, let's say, unprofitable for actually since the very beginning. They actually increased price, or they have increased price 3 times in the last 2 years. So that's a good sign of how good pricing discipline really allows companies to capture and maximize that, value harnessing.
Yeah, absolutely. They are recognizing they've got some latent pricing capabilities to take advantage of there for sure. All right, so recommendations.
Yeah, so I would say that, these temporary price adjustments that we're going to see now because of an inflationary situation, might not be enough, if they're only thought of from a short-bound or short-time kind of framework. I think that the opportunity that lies ahead, and also the risk for companies that don't invest, is that, from a resiliency perspective, if companies want to be successful in the long term, they really need to invest on building on pricing strategy. Typically, companies will have thought about it more in the downturn. They would like to reset and define, 3-year, 5-year ahead what they need to be doing from a pricing or commercial excellence perspective. But I think it's still, even though that we're already facing those initial stages of an inflationary economy, it's still not too late to invest on key core capabilities around pricing and commercial excellence. I think that the idea would be that the initiative should be really thought from a 3 non-functional capabilities point of view. The first one would be, speed and agility. You need to be able to build these key capabilities for survival. Faster reaction times to changes in the market conditions are going to allow organizations to be ahead of the curve. Second one is going to be around flexibility and discipline. Try to avoid that peanut butter spread that all pricing conditions applies equally to all markets and all your customers. And then lastly, I would say it has to be around transparency and accountability, right? So then you can steer the boat in the right directions at the necessary speed.
Absolutely. So, I love that, Israel. Agility, that infers flexibility, but I think discipline is a key thing that, agility within discipline is important. And then you see it all happen with transparency and accountability. Okay, great. So let's get down to a little bit more detail, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's always easier said than done, but I think that from there's available technology in the marketplace. There's available, best practices that companies can leverage, to scale and be able to execute and react. If I'm thinking, let's say from, a price management activities point of view, definitely is the right time to invest on tactical pricing guidelines and define price levels by customers. Being able to define a powerful pricing rule engine that states highest discounts for any other given order size, for instance. If we think, let's say from a go-to-market, market strategy, market segmentation, product offering, being able to develop and leverage metrics on the maximum customer willingness to pay and differentiate the value that you deliver to your customers accordingly, and tying that to the product offering. I would say that, being able to have different price options depending on the different customer groups. If we think, let's say from a quoting on a governance point of view, I think definitely being able to recommend clear target prices before the sales personnel negotiate with the customers. I think that is key. Ensuring that you have price approvals if sales deviate from those recommended prices, and also have I think the evidence of best walkaway points. That this is something that is always the elephant in the room. You need to have the self-confidence to walk away from deals that are actually not profitable and short-lived. And I think that then lastly, my last kind of closing comment would be about measurement and control. It just, again, how well those price deviations are monitored and socialized and shared within the enterprise, so everybody has complete visibility on what is the value delivered.
Absolutely. Israel, thanks so much for joining us. This is absolutely topical. Everybody's watching this. We can all see it coming. We all know that these are things that we have to be able to do. You've outlined a great set of very high level things that are along the lines of functions, but what are the specifics to take action? And of course, you and the rest of the BCs, the rest of the Vendavo team, we love to talk about this all the time. We encourage everybody to reach out to us for more on this. Let us know if you have any topics along these lines or anything you would like for us to speak to on the next Revenue Roundtable. So Israel, thanks for being with us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do. And thanks so much.
You bet. You bet. And everyone reach out to us at profit@vendavo.com with those topics. And so until we speak again, have a profitable day.